So we're gonna fucking kill her and her friends, and we're gonna keep moving on. I heard some news about Kirsten. She's gonna be home alone from 6 to 7. So we might kill her, then drive over to Cassie's thing and scare the shit out of them, then kill them one by fucking one.
In the quiet town of Pocatello, Idaho, no one expected a cruel murder to break the peace. But on October 22, 2006, the horrific killing of 16-year-old Cassie Stoddart shocked the community. What drives two young locals to commit such a heartless crime against one of their own? Parents were left holding their children tighter. How could such darkness unfold in their safe little haven? 16-year-old Cassie Stoddart spent that Saturday night at home alone while her mother and stepfather were away for the weekend. She decided to invite her boyfriend, Matt, over to hang out and watch movies. Cassie's mother, Allison, called to check in on her daughter around 8 p.m. Cassie said Matt had just left and she was getting ready for bed. As they ended the call, neither mother nor daughter could imagine the terror that would soon unfold. After leaving Cassie's house, Matt drove to his cousin's home around 8:30 p.m.
So we're gonna fucking kill her and her friends, and we're gonna keep moving on. I heard some news about Kirsten. She's gonna be home alone from 6 to 7. So we might kill her, then drive over to Cassie's thing and scare the shit out of them, then kill them one by fucking one.
At the very same time, two of Cassie's classmates from Pocatello High School, Brian Draper and Tori Adamczyk, emerged from the darkness outside her home. The pair knocked on Cassie's door, claiming they were there to return a DVD. She cautiously opened the door and let them in, unaware of their twisted intentions. Brian and Tori had become close friends at school, bonding over dark interests like horror films and books about murder. They grew obsessed with thoughts of actually killing someone. For months, they plotted different scenarios of how to act out a grisly murder straight from the horror movies they idolized. Brian and Tori decided that shy, kind 16-year-old Cassie Stoddart would make an easy victim. They fatally underestimated the strength and courage she would show in her final moments, fighting back against their attack on her life. Once inside the Stoddart home, Brian and Tori wasted no time setting their murderous plan into motion. They attacked Cassie onto the couch and began plunging their knives into her body over and over as she struggled and begged for her life. Cassie fought desperately against her attackers, refusing to give in to their violence, but the attack was unstoppable. They continued hitting Cassie until she lay motionless in a pool of blood. Yet still, their evil attack was not over. As Cassie was barely alive, Brian stood over her helpless body and cut her throat with a knife, causing the final deadly wound. With their 16-year-old classmate now dead, Brian and Tori then messed up and broke things in her house to try to make it look like a robbery had happened. Around midnight, they casually returned to their own homes, believing their horrific murder was a secret success.
There should be no law against killing people. You restrict somebody from it, they're gonna want it more.
Dude, I just killed Cassie.
But Cassie's nightmare was only beginning for those who loved her. The next morning, Cassie's father, Ron, came by the house to pick up his daughter and make breakfast plans. Seeing the unlocked front door, he entered the living room, calling Cassie's name but getting no answer. Ron made his way down the hall to a scene of unimaginable horror. His daughter's lifeless body lying in a pool of blood, her throat wildly cut. Ron desperately called 911, then called his wife Allison, who was traveling out of town. Every parent's worst fear had become their inescapable new reality. Within minutes, Pocatello police flooded into the normally quiet street. They found Cassie brutally stabbed over 30 times and her neck cut so violently that her head was nearly cut off. Detectives realized immediately this was no random act of violence. It was personal. Cassie's family was overloaded with grief and shock. She was their fun-loving, affectionate daughter and sister. Her friends knew her as a kind, gentle girl who always tried to help anyone in need. Now this light had been cruelly extinguished. Detectives set to work piecing together clues from the horrifying murder scene. Whoever killed Cassie did so intentionally in a controlled, calculated manner. They confirmed nothing was stolen, ruling out a robbery. And the extreme violence used against Cassie indicated a personal connection to the killer. The investigation quickly focused on Brian Draper and Tori Adamczyk, teens who had been expelled from Pocatello High School just weeks earlier. School officials reported the pair had become a concern after making threats against other students, claiming they wanted to act out a murder. But no one could have guessed how serious their dark scheming had become. Detectives obtained a warrant to search both Brian and Tori's bedrooms just hours after the murder. In their homes, they uncovered what could only be described as murder preparation kits, frightening collections of dark items like masks, knives, and violent horror films. Most disturbingly, detailed written and computer records were found documenting their chilling step-by-step plans to break into Cassie's home, cruelly kill her, and cover up the crime. In one made-up passage titled "Phases of the Murder," they had even planned out exactly where they would stab Cassie and cut her throat. These writings showed clearly this was a pre-planned fantasy murder they wanted to commit. When shown all the evidence, Brian and Tori admitted they had intended to kill an innocent girl for a long time. Prosecutors said Cassie was just very unlucky to be the one they chose to be their victim. But even after admitting what they did, the teenage killers showed no guilt or sadness for destroying Cassie's life and devastating her family. In December 2006, Brian Draper and Tori Adamczyk went on trial for what prosecutors called the planned, calculated, and unbelievably cruel murder. Cassie's family painfully sat through each day of shocking testimony about her daughter's final moments. The most chilling evidence was a video Brian and Tori recorded just days before the attack detailing their kill plans. In the haunting footage, they talk eagerly about murdering an innocent girl as if it's merely a game. Their own voices provided undeniable proof this was a pre-planned execution.
The top of the list.
September 22nd, 2006. We're skipping our 4th hour. 55 Catholics. 4 win. We're actually tonight.
After just 4 hours of thinking, jurors found the teenage killers guilty of first-degree murder. In January 2007, Brian Draper and Tori Adamczyk were each sentenced to life in prison without letting free. The judge condemned them for carrying out the extremely horrific, wicked, and cruel murder of Cassie Stoddart. Ron and Allison Stoddart told the court that Cassie was their sunshine, whose light was forever blown out by meaningless violence. They said Brian and Tori had destroyed their family and stolen Cassie's future over their twisted fantasies. The Stoddarts later founded a foundation in Cassie's memory to advocate for safe schools and prevent violence. Their mission is to spread Cassie's spirit and stand up against bullying. They visit schools urging parents to be aware of their kids' influences to stop future tragedies before they occur. The chilling murder awakened the community to recognize signs of bullying and aggression early on. Cassie's beautiful life may be lost, but her spirit lives on in those working for positive change, so no more innocent lives are taken by such unthinkable evil. Though her hopeful future was stolen, Cassie Stoddart's memory burns bright through her loving family and the many lives she touched in her short 16 years. The aching hole left by her absence will never completely heal, but her legacy reminds all to cherish the gift of life and speak up against violence so goodness and light can prevail.